Let me ask you something. When you think of power, which nations come to mind? The United States? China? Russia? But what if I told you there's another nation, once overlooked, once underestimated, that is now quietly reshaping the entire global order? What if I told you it's India? But there's another story unfolding, one that almost no one is prepared for. And today, I'm going to take you inside that story. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll understand exactly why India is the nation everyone fears now. Let's start with the first clue: the awakening of a sleeping giant. Not too long ago, India's economy was dismissed as slow-moving, tangled in red tape, impossible to modernize. But in the last decade, it did something no one expected. It began to roar awake. This wasn't just growth, it was a transformation. Hundreds of millions lifted from poverty, new cities rising almost overnight, a middle class larger than the entire population of the United States. But that's only the surface. Because as the world was busy watching trade wars between the US and China, India was quietly becoming the world's fastest growing major economy. The sleeping giant had woken up. But you're probably wondering, economic growth alone doesn't make a nation feared. You're right, it doesn't. So let's peel back the next layer: military might no one saw coming. For decades, India's military was seen as large but outdated. Suddenly, that perception is obsolete. India is now the world's largest arms importer and one of the few countries investing in indigenous fighter jets, nuclear submarines, ballistic missiles, and space weapons. Consider this. India launched a successful anti-satellite missile test. That means they can now target and destroy satellites in space, something only a handful of nations have achieved. When this happened, defense strategists worldwide realized India wasn't just catching up, it was leapfrogging ahead. But even that isn't the whole picture. While nations were distracted, India ignited a technological revolution. This is where the story gets even more unpredictable. India has become the world's digital backbone, home to over 1 billion mobile connections, the largest biometric database ever created, and an innovation ecosystem spawning unicorn startups at breakneck speed. Ask yourself, when was the last time you read about an Indian tech company in the headlines? It's happening more than you realize. From fintech to AI, India isn't following trends, it's setting them. Yet still, this isn't the complete answer to why India inspires fear. Because you can have an economy, an army, and a tech sector, but unless you have something deeper, none of it lasts. That something is cultural confidence. India's young generation, over 600 million people, is unapologetically ambitious. They no longer measure themselves by Western standards. They believe in their heritage, their potential, and their destiny to lead. This is the psychological shift that makes a country unstoppable. But hold on, because the most strategic piece is yet to come. Strategic diplomacy. India is not aligning itself blindly with any single power bloc. Instead, it is balancing relationships with the US, Russia, Europe, Japan, and even engaging with China when necessary. This diplomatic dance is frustrating traditional powers. You can't pressure India into submission. You can't isolate it. And that is exactly why nations are wary. By now, you may be feeling the pieces clicking together. But there's one final element, the one no analyst can quantify, yet every leader senses it. It is the power everyone underestimated: resilience. India has survived colonialism, partition, wars, poverty, and still it rises. While others decline, India adapts. When crises strike, India doesn't fracture, it endures. That is the essence of fear in the hearts of those who thought India would stay a follower forever. So here's the truth, finally revealed. India is feared not because it is aggressive, but because it is inevitable. Because for the first time in centuries, the world is realizing this nation will no longer be ignored. And if you think this rise can be stopped, history will prove you wrong. Again, the question isn't whether India is coming. The question is, are you ready for it?